Good morning on this Monday, February 15th, 2021. Let it be known we have lots of news this morning. First, sad news in the world of hip hop. Hip hop superstar Nicki Minaj's father was killed by a hit and run driver on Long Island, New York on Sunday. Robert Mirage, 64, was struck at around 6 p.m. on Friday as he was walking in the Mineola section of Nassau County. The driver fled before witnesses could get a clear look at who was behind the wheel. Police are still looking for clues in that situation, and all our best go out to Nicki Minaj and her family. A new analysis of the $1.9 trillion stimulus package proposed by President Joe Biden shows that it will deliver significant financial assistance to the poorest U.S. households who have faced higher rates of income and job losses during the coronavirus pandemic. Under the plan advancing in the House Ways and Means Committee, the next stimulus bill would send $1,400 to eligible people, as well as expand the child tax credit and the earned income tax credit. Altogether, the three programs will provide a 33% boost to the pre-tax incomes of the poorest 20% of Americans. The Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy put this study together and noted that the three programs, a third round of stimulus checks plus the two expanded tax credits, would provide a similar dollar amount of average benefits to 95% of U.S. households. The analysts found that the impact would be much greater for lower income households because the benefits would represent a larger share of their income. And that is important, they say, because the lowest earning households are more likely to spend that money quickly, which provides a boost to the economy while stabilizing their own household. So once again, the president, his $1.9 trillion stimulus package looks to be something that America really needs. And now we'll bring on our president and CEO, Dr. Ben Chavez, to discuss the rest of this morning's breaking news. Dr. Chavez, good morning.
Good morning, Stacy. How are you? And to the Black press of America and to our listeners across the United States and throughout the world. We're going forward. I'm glad you highlighted the stimulus American Rescue Plan. It will help to eliminate child poverty. And of course, African-American children are disproportionately in poverty today in 2021, primarily as a result of the 4 years of no economic growth in the Black community during the Trump years. And we expect with high hopes that the Biden-Harris plan, the American Rescue Plan, will provide relief and will provide some type of rescue for African-American owned businesses, for African-American families, for African-American communities and other people of color across the United States.
Yeah, absolutely, Dr. Chavis. And shortly, we're going to hear from two Black consumer entrepreneurs, a West African-inspired cuisine called AYO Foods. We're going to talk to the founders, Perteet and Fred Spencer, a little bit later this morning. Dr. Chavis, in other news, Deja Woods, a 24-year-old from Deland, Florida, has made history as the first Black woman to become a firefighter for the city since it was founded in 1876. Deja Woods, according to blacknews.com, says that even as a child, as a kid, she has always aspired to become a firefighter. She just recently made that dream come to life when she pursued the career and applied for the job. Fire Chief Todd Allen said that she actually excelled during the interview, including physical and written tests. So history is being made, Dr. Chavis, in Deland, Florida during Black History Month.
That's right. This is the best way to celebrate Black history is to make more history. And certainly we salute our sister for becoming the first firefighter in that municipality.
Yeah, and the fire chief, Allen, just to continue on that, Dr. Chavis, he says we also had two panels of interviews we went through, independent interviews, but she rose to the top of both of those. So now she belongs to the small number of just 3 women and 4 minorities out of the 49 firefighters in dealing. And Woods is grateful for the warm welcome she has received. She says, it may be rare for me, but the guys welcome me with open arms. They don't treat me any different than anyone who has been working here for 15 years. So she hopes to be an inspiration to young girls and women in her community. She said, if I can be that person to let little girls know that it's a possibility that you can be where I am, that's definitely something that I want to do. So congratulations to Deja Woods. Again, Dr. Chavis, making Black history during Black History Month.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stacy. That's a good article and good news for us to disseminate to our African-American-owned newspapers across America.
Yeah, and also in Louisiana, Dr. Chavis, the Louisiana State Police Department has made history after recently appointing not one, not two, but 3 Black policemen to the agency's command staff. It is the first time since 1936 that 3 African-American employees are in leadership positions at the same time. In January, Captain Kenny Van Buren was promoted to Lieutenant Colonel over investigations, and Captain Chavez Kamen was promoted to Lieutenant Colonel over patrol. It comes after the appointment of Colonel Lamar Davis in October, who replaced retired Colonel Kevin Reeves. So they're making history in Louisiana as well, Dr. Chavis.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a great place, because of COVID-19, we cannot have Mardi Gras like they used to have in Louisiana during this period. But we are very thankful that African Americans, we need more African Americans in law enforcement at the state level, at the local level, and at the federal level, because African Americans still disproportionately, there's too much police brutality, too much abuse. And the more people of color we get into leadership role and high ranking roles and command roles is the extent to which we can start eliminating the systemic racism in law enforcement.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally in the news, Dr. Chavis, the coronavirus has been, it depends on who you listen to. Things that maybe getting a little better. The Biden administration has purchased a whole lot more vaccines now. They're hoping to get everybody vaccinated. But on Friday, our president and CEO was in North Carolina. What happened in North Carolina, Dr. Chavis? I'll let you tell everybody.
Well, I was very pleased. I have a sister, Dr. Francine Chavis, who helped me get my appointment. So I took my first shot for the coronavirus. It was Moderna shot, and I'll go back in 30 days and get the second shot. So I'm encouraging everybody, particularly in my age range and those who are eligible, you should talk to your primary physician to make sure that you get an appointment. And then from my perspective, all the people I know, everybody in my family has been vaccinated, and they're all well, no side effects. And I'm pleased to report to you this morning, Stacy, and to Black America, that I got the shot on Friday and no side effects whatsoever. So I'm ready to take the second shot and keep moving.
So when will the second shot come, Dr. Chavis?
In 30 days, on March 12th.
Great.
So, but I just want to point out that even after you take the shot, get vaccinated, I'm still wearing the mask, I'm still washing my hands, and I'm still practicing social distancing. While hospitalizations are coming down in some parts of the country, in other parts of the United States, hospitalization, particularly in our communities, is still going up. So I don't want any African Americans to start relaxing. And I know everybody's fatigued. It's been over a year now with the coronavirus, but we have to be steadfast. We have to be vigilant and diligent in our efforts to protect ourselves, protect our families, and protect our communities from this dangerous coronavirus. And as you know, Stacy, there are variants now,
Yeah.
particularly the UK variant seems to be the most infectious and the most deadly. And as of today, there are 1,000 cases in the United States as of today of the UK variant. So we have to be very, very careful. And I think that all of our publishers across the country, and a shout out to our chair, Karen Carter Richards, and all of our publishers, I just want them to stay on alert. We issued an alert to Black America state of emergency last year.
Yep.
And then we reissued it early this year to make sure that people don't relax. So yes, I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I took my vaccination and I'm still social distancing.
Yeah, and Dr. Chavis, going back to you taking the vaccine, was there any nervousness on your part, and was there any discussion with your doctor about the other variants? Does this protect against the other variants? Do you know that?
Well, according to my physician, who advised that I take the vaccination, that they're still testing. We do know from research in the UK that this variant from Great Britain is much more contagious. It's much more airborne, and therefore is much more infectious. But they have not determined yet whether or not the vaccine can slow the deadly part of this disease. They have found in some places it is still effective against the variants. So most physicians are telling their patients, if you have a choice to take the vaccination or not take the vaccination, if you're eligible, if you're in one of those categories, according to the CDC, then they're highly recommending that you take the vaccination.
Well, Dr. Chavis, thank you so much for sharing that. We look forward to your progress with your second dose. I'm sure we'll talk about that when that occurs. It's good to see that you're doing well. You know, during Black History Month, all month, we have been having guests on Let It Be Known to talk about those who are making history, who are making Black history. And this morning, we welcome two more who are making Black history. They are the founders of AYO Foods, Perteet and Fred Spencer. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
For having us.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your business.
Thank you so much.
You.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about it. How did it come about? Obviously, you both are the founders. Was it a joint idea? What happened?
Yeah, it was really a joint idea. So I grew up in a West African family. My family's from Liberia. And so this is food that we always really, really enjoyed eating, and is always a focal point of our family time together. And Fred and I had talked about kind of opportunity to make this food more widely available, really sharing the joy that we've experienced over the years with more people. And we knew that there were more folks who were in our spot, who were first generation West Africans, really wanting a taste of home without the production that sometimes is involved in making this delicious food. So we're so excited to be able to bring this to the market.
Yeah, and what were some of the challenges? Because now you're in 50, I believe, whole food markets. I'd imagine that there were some challenges.
Yeah, I would say that, one of the biggest challenges that we opened up during the pandemic. Our company launched last July, so we're right in the midst of that. As Dr. Benjamin mentioned, the last past year of having the pandemic exposed to the U.S. So, opening the pandemic and pushing forward through that and trying to get into as many stores as possible, I would say that was probably the hurdle that we had.
Yeah. And tell us also, you get a lot of orders, obviously, but tell us about the popular ones. What's the most popular?
Yeah, so by far, our favorite, or the most popular, is the jollof rice, and I'm sure you've heard about that great debate across the countries over West Africa around whose is the best. And so we invite you all to try AYO's. And then, our personal favorite is cassava leaf, which is a staple at nearly every holiday that we have. And so excited for that to be more broadly available as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And would you talk about the health? See, to me, the food AYO not only tastes great, but it's healthy. And I think that a lot of African Americans, as well as people of African descent from all over the diaspora throughout the world, we struggle with sometimes health issues. And I think the thing that was appealing to me, and I think, you just can't get into Whole Foods. Whole Foods does its research. And so you can be fairly well certain that whatever Whole Foods sells, and of course, I guess it's a shout out to Whole Foods, it is much more healthy. But I'm so pleased to see African American owned products in Whole Foods. I think that was a major threshold that you were able to cross. and get embraced by that distribution. And that helps your distribution because it's a chain. So salute to you. But can you just mention to our listeners the health values of AYO Foods?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we developed these dishes, health was front and center in terms of delivering against this delicious food in a way that was authentic and true to the recipes, but also consistent with the changing momentum in the food landscape. And I've actually spent upwards of the last 10 years of my career actually helping grow health and wellness brands in this space. And so it's a space that we're very familiar with. And we wanted to really deliver the best nutritionals, but also the most delicious taste. And I think we've struck a good combination with AYO. And so we're using really authentic, sustainably raised ingredients like agusi, like cassava. Even the palm oil that we use, right, is organic, of the highest quality. And so delivering these dishes in a way that tastes delicious, but also starts to introduce these really nutrient-dense ingredients to our population is really, really important to us as well.
Very good.
And Fred, have you always cooked? Are you a cook?
Well, in our household, I do quite a bit of cooking, but Perteet does the majority of the cooking. But I've my background is traditionally in finance, but I have owned a restaurant before in a franchise. So I've been in the food space for quite some bit. I also helped Perteet's dad open up an importing business of West African dry goods too. So my career has expanded over finance and food for the up to the last 20 years. Yes.
Oh, okay. So it's a great dynamic there. So I would imagine Perteet, food and being interested in food kind of runs in the family then.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a new 10-year-old, and she's established a bit of a dream wall in her room. And on her dream wall is to be a famous pastry chef, highlighting Liberian pastries in honor of her family. So we can tell it's rubbing off already on the next generation.
Right, Stacy, what I would like to ask the Spencers is that if they would comment on the growing, enduring relationship between brothers and sisters from Africa and brothers and sisters who are in the United States, the diaspora. I know that Stacy Brown and I are finally trying to complete this book on the transatlantic slave trade. But I think that there's so many opportunities. I do a lot of work in Africa, and one of the things that's always I think an opportunity that most people on the continent, most people here in the United States don't take advantage of, and that is to have these joint trade relationships between African Americans and Africans on the continent. Can you just speak to the opportunities of closing those economic opportunity gaps between Africa and brothers and sisters in the diaspora?
Yeah, I can start this one. I would just say, my family is traditionally, what we would consider African American, and then Perteet's family is from West Africa. So even our combined relationships is a mixture of the two, as you speak. So, as Perteet mentioned, one of the most popular dishes that the Liberians love is cassava leaf. We both are from Minnesota, and if you look the people who's consuming, the growing population of people who are consuming cassava leaf in Minnesota are African Americans. So, the dishes, if you think about it, like my grandmother cooked a lot of what we would call soul food, right? But if you look at the process of cooking these dishes that we have with AYO, they're traditionally the same. So most of our cooking heritage comes from Africa, even the same processes in big pots, slow cooking. And so that's exactly, what we experience with the West African food as well. As far as the relationships goes economically, yeah, I think that, as one of our things is to, and we've already started this, and Perteet can speak a little bit more about it, is, giving back to Africa. Perteet, you want to talk more about our Moon Boy project?
Yeah, so we recently launched a project called the Moon Boy Project, where in our inaugural, which means prosperity, and one of the platforms that we developed AYO on is really enriching the communities that inspired us. So one of our first ventures as a part of the Moon Boy Project is investing in 15 acres of farmland in Liberia that will be used to create economic opportunities for women and children of Liberia. And so we're really excited about using AYO as a starting point. As you look at the ingredients that we're using, these are not ingredients that are broadly available and really unique to the West African diaspora. And so through our work with AYO, the goal is not only to make these products more widely available, but also to create economic opportunity for these communities that inspired such wonderful brand.
Very good. How can people get these products? Can they order them online? Or do you have to go through Whole Foods? What's the best way to get some of the products that people who are interested in getting, tasting AYO and consuming AYO? Tell our audience the best way for them to place their orders.
Absolutely. So if you're in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, or Louisiana, you can go to your local Whole Foods store. In Chicago, if you're in Chicagoland area, we'll be launching at Mariano's very soon, and they're 40+ stores. If you're interested in purchasing online, AYO-foods.com. We'll be live with online alternatives within the next week and a half or so. So we're excited to deliver that as an option for folks who aren't in one of those markets. But know that we're working really, really hard to expand quickly. And so hope to have some exciting news in the coming weeks and months to give a much broader geographic footprint to AYO.
Wow. And have you guys been back to the continent anytime recently, before the pandemic or even after the pandemic has started?
Yes, prior to the pandemic, but we do have a planned trip, hopefully if everything is aligned, this summer to go back to. So we should be visiting three countries this July, hopefully, if the pandemic allows us.
Is the product there available to Africans in those countries as well?
No, the food is there, but not the product yet. We're trying to get our local expansion and U.S. expansion down first, and then we plan to expand overseas after that. Yeah.
I love that you're asking, though. It gives us something to shoot for next.
Well, it seems like you guys are really have already done a fantastic job. As Dr. Chavis said, not anyone just gets into Whole Foods, and the other distribution that you're working on too. We certainly will keep our eye on that. Who's the big taste tester for AYO?
We have a little network of people, but mostly it's family members, and Perteet's dad is kind of like the primary tester. It doesn't pass him, then we don't put it forward. But we have a group of individuals that we've kind of I wouldn't say hired, but brought on board as advisory team to help us with the taste testing.
Yeah, I always tell people if you see a random man taking samples around to the local Liberian grocery stores and restaurants, that's my dad getting feedback on our next round of recipes. So.
And the wonderful thing too, really in all seriousness, is that you guys work together as a family. You mentioned your dad a lot there. You two are working together. That is something that, I'll let you tell our viewers, especially when it comes to the African and African American family, how important is that?
Yeah, it's very important to us. AYO as a foundation is a family business. The plan is to make sure that our daughters are involved with this. Perteet and I started out, this with just our family in mind, and with us being, providing a strong connection of a Black family, husband and wife team that can, do well in this industry. So, yeah,
absolutely. Dr. Chavis, final thoughts?
Well, I think that we commend AYO products to our listening audience. We thank the Spencers for making Black history and giving others the opportunity to not only have great tasting food, delicious food, but healthy food. And I think that we all should be promoting improving our quality of life, improving the health standards in our communities. And eventually this pandemic will be conquered. But I just want to encourage everybody to be diligent and vigilant, and at the same time, eat good, eat healthy, and stay well.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there a website?
Sure. Yes, it's AYO-Foods, FOODS.com.
And we're also on all the social media handles, so you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as well.
Well, we certainly thank Perteet and Fred Spencer. Also recognize some of our viewers, Annette Phillips, James Wright of the Washington Informer, Lynn Pender. Everyone, we always appreciate Lynn Spivey, Dr. Chavez. We get a lot of loyal repeat viewers, and we are grateful for that.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we on a print basis, we reach over 30 million people a week, and let it be known every Monday through Friday at 7:30 Eastern Time, our audience is growing by the thousands, by the tens of thousands every day. So we appreciate our loyal viewers.
Yeah, Black History Remembrance. Today, we remember Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler. Dr. Crumpler was the first African-American woman physician in the United States. She was born in 1831. Dr. Crumpler first worked as a nurse in Massachusetts between 1852 and 1860. She was accepted to New England Female Medical College and earned a medical doctor degree, MD, in 1864. She practiced medicine in Boston and Richmond, Virginia, primarily working with the poor who had limited access to medical care. In 1883, Dr. Crumpler published a renowned book, The Book of Medical Discourses, in 2 parts, which many believe is the first medical text written by an African-American author, Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler. We remember her today in our Black History Remembrance. Let it be known, never be limited by other people's limited imaginations. We will see you tomorrow.